What's up, Big Blue Nation? I'm Bradley B-Row McKee. I'm in the building, and I got one of these special guests. I thank you for laughing at me, and his name is John Hood. He's laughing because they call me B-Row. He's been messing with me for years. I love you, John. You always, got on me for my shoes and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So you're one of my favorites, man.
Well, happy to be here.
I guess I want to start out, before you made it to Kentucky, you played at Madisonville, North Hopkins, your high school days. You were Mr. Basketball. You averaged 30 points in high school, Gatorade Player of the Year. I guess just talk about your high school days, man. What was that like?
Well, they were fun. I mean, you start freshman year, and I didn't play a whole lot until kind of the end of the year. Kind of emerged in and show up sophomore year. I'm 6'4", 2-inch growth spurt in the middle of freshman year. Sophomore year, 6'4", 6'5", can dunk. Played pretty well sophomore year. And then that's kind of when I joined the circuit, kind of the AAU circuit. It wasn't the EYBL or the Under Armour Elite 24 or whatever it's called. It was the Adidas one. And it was interesting. I mean, you travel around, you got all these college coaches coming to see you. The crowds weren't what they are today for these games, because they didn't I guess they weren't publicized that John Wall was in town or something like that. But I mean, I played through that sophomore year and junior year. Junior year was actually the best year I had, our best year as a team in high school ball. My running mate was Darnell Moore, who was 6'6", 185, 190 pounds on a good day, and led the state in rebounding. And because he did that, I led the state in dunks, just because the shot would go up and I wouldn't even try to rebound. I mean, I'm out there at 6'7" and don't even touch the lane to try to rebound. As soon as the shot goes up, I turn and take off and leak out, and he jumps up and grabs it, slings it the other end, and I catch it and have a breakaway dunk. You can't really beat it.
Nope. Sound like you had the Dennis Rodman on your team. 6'6", 85, and this leaking. I like that.
Just about. I mean, I was jumping up, dunking on people, and he was at the other end, not crossing half court.
I love it. I guess before you got to UK, before you at least committed to UK, what were some of the other schools that you were kind of considering before you signed your letter?
I was really close with Tennessee and Coach Pearl and Coach Forbes, who's now at Wake Forest as of, he might not have even signed a deal yet, but he just basically committed to go there. He was at East Tennessee State, but he was the assistant at UT at the time when Pearl was there. Ole Miss, I guess, would technically be considered the other school, which that was Andy Kennedy, Tory Ward, and then Mike White. Well, Mike White's head coach Florida now. So it's fun to watch how guys have moved around and gone from place to place.
Yeah, no, it is kind of interesting to see all these coaches move around now, especially these time of days. I feel like you got to find that next best job, and it's kind of interesting to see Coach Cal's made it at UK for 10 years. I know they've been they love him there, but at the same time, they're like, look, we want another championship. So I feel like they're trying to put a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't feel it. It's whatever. He goes out and tries to win every day. If it winds up in a championship, then it winds up in a championship. He wants that, but he takes it day by day. So.
Yep, I totally agree with you, Cal. He's all about winning, but he definitely doesn't let the fan base pressure him into doing something that you don't want to do. So definitely like that. I guess going into your first year, you were with Calipari in his first year. I guess you played with Wall, Cousins, Bledsoe, and all those guys. I guess just talk about those practices and how intense those practices were for you. I know you had to guard the best of the best.
Those practices were ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure everybody's been watching The Last Dance, especially these 5 and 6, where they talked about the dream team. Now, I'm not saying that year was the dream team, but the practices and the pickup games specifically, probably the best basketball that I've ever been in and played in. And what made it that was, first of all, you had some absolute monsters. And John Wall, DeMarcus, Eric Bledsoe, Patrick Patterson, Daniel Orton, DeAndre Liggins, Darius Miller. I mean, those pickup games and those practices, I was telling somebody the other day that you were looking at a highlight at any given time, 1 through 12. It did not matter who it was. Every last person could dunk on you.
Mm-hmm.
Every last person would dunk on you. And every last person tried to dunk on you. The helmet has made it very popular. That year started the helmet. And it was passed around quite frequently.
Yep, I love seeing the helmet. When it first came out, I was like, oh man, what a great idea. And like you said, each week, they had somebody had the helmet on. But if I felt like they took it personal, they were trying to get the person that put the helmet on them. So it was always, getting rotated around.
So Josh, I can't remember if it was my freshman year or my sophomore year, but Josh would, I think it's sophomore year, he would try to block shots. And Cal would yell at him like, "You're not a shot blocker." So we would do a drill. It's called perfect stop. You stop somebody for a complete 30 seconds, and the teams switch in and out. Mm-hmm. And he yelled at Josh that Josh had to take 5 charges in a practice every single day. It was either 5 or 3. Mm-hmm. And we get to perfect stop, and Josh would be like trying to scheme, like, just run me over. Well, if you look at a bunch of guys that are 6'5", 6'6", and say, run me over, and Josh is guarding somebody down the block, he's going to slide out. Darius would get the ball and would drive down the middle of the lane, and Josh would go to slide over thinking he was going to take a charge. Darius would just jump up and tomahawk it on him. It was one of those things like Josh didn't know it was coming. He thought that everybody was going to be playing like, okay, yeah, just get me the charge. No. Darius took flight multiple days. But John, and then the pickup games, John and Eric would guard each other, and they would try to strip each other at half court. And when they did, it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to race back down the court and try to dunk it. Mm-hmm. It was, I'm going to fan out one way, you're going to fan out the other way, and we're going to meet at the rim.
Oh, dude, that had to be fun to watch.
It was fun to watch until I was bringing the ball up one day, and I got picked by John, and I'm thinking, okay, I got one shot at this because I'm gonna have to do it, or I'm gonna get called out. So he fans out to the left side if you're facing the basket. I fan out to the right. I'm like, okay, I'm a 1-foot jumper. He's getting ready to jump off 2 feet, put it in his left hand, and cock it away from me. I got to try to stay up there long enough to touch it somehow. Now, everybody that's watching this knows that did not happen. And I got posterized on. Oh, it was bad.
Wait, but look, the effort was there. You had the right mentality. You were going to hard as you want to go, but I know you were like, why did I even jump?
Well, it was to the point to where like I could jump. I had young legs, and I'm up there and I'm hanging around and like, all right, are you gonna bring the ball, or are you just gonna keep it back there this entire time? I've never seen an athlete like that.
I guess moving on to your I guess it was going to be your junior year where you were I feel like you were going to get a lot of playing time. You were really starting to or at least going into your sophomore, going into your junior year, you were starting to emerge. And I thought, this could be an opportunity for you to get some playing time. And then you tear your ACL. I guess that had to be something that really, I'm sure, tore you apart. But what was that, your mindset, I guess, going through all that? And when you knew you probably was going to get a lot of playing time that year?
Well, that was probably the best I had been playing was that summer. And we had everybody on campus, Anthony, all of them. And Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was guarding me in that pickup game. And I didn't set foot inside the three-point line. And we were playing in Memorial. I didn't set foot inside the three-point line, and I was on fire. I mean, couldn't miss. And the one time that I drove in there, I tried to pro hop and then go over top of him. So when I pro hopped and came down the first time, my knee gave out, tore the ACL, threw it, screaming on the floor, all that. Well, the first person to get to me was Mike. Mike said, I'm sorry. I'm like, and then like, I'm fighting back. This is the worst pain I've ever felt. Like,
Yeah.
like, no, you didn't touch me. No one touched me. It was just me. It just gave out. There's nothing I could do. But I mean, it was frustrating, but that year taught me a lot about basketball and what it kind of took to persevere through other things in life as well. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously, going into that year, you guys won the national championship, and I guess that had to be something special for you in 2012. I guess you leave, you have John Wall and all those guys, leave, and then you have guys like Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, those guys, Deron Lamb, Terrence Jones come in. Just talk about that national championship run. I mean,
well, it was fun to watch. When I wasn't on the sideline, I was in a weight room. Like if you go back and look at those pictures, like because we took the team picture at the end of the year because we wore the gray platinums. Like I don't know why we didn't take a picture at the beginning of the year. We had to retake it or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't look like a basketball player because I spent 4 days a week or really more than that, probably closer to 6 days a week in the weight room with Mike Malone, who was there. And it was nuts. But watching those guys and watching them come together and watching them kind of evolve, especially Anthony. Watching Anthony Davis evolve it was special to watch. It was very interesting. Because when he got there, he was very raw talent, very high-level defensive-minded player. And when he left, he was a monster, was a stud, and would change everything. I mean, I remember those practices and pickup games before I got hurt. You go in the lane, and you're looking for him. I mean, you were looking for him from day one. After the first game, you were looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
But as we saw in that South Carolina game down there, they had guys drive the lane looking for Anthony. And when they couldn't find Anthony because they had drawn him out, they'd shoot a little layup and Terrence would throw it in the fifth row. I mean, it's the defensive prowess of that team kind of gets overlooked, I feel like. And I feel like Terrence Jones gets overlooked quite a bit. I mean, he had 53 in the blue-white game? Yeah.
It was crazy. I remember I was like, who does that?
Yeah.
And he did it effortlessly. I felt like, he was out there just toying around with everybody.
Yep. That's exactly what he was doing. It was he went back to being Terrence from Maui the year before, those first 3 games.
And, for your whole time there, you played obviously with a lot of NBA guys. I don't know how many numbers it is. I don't know if it's 17, 20, or how many guys are in the NBA do you play with. Is there a particular one that you're like, you know what, that was the best guy I've ever played with, or one of the better NBA guys? Who's one of your favorite? I guess all the guys. If you had to pick one.
Oh, John Wall. 100%. He was the toughest guy to guard, but if you were on his team, you loved it. But I said earlier he was a monster, but that guy, as far as being a teammate, is one of the best ones. And then after him, kind of a lesser known one would be DeAndre Liggins, because Dre would do whatever it took to win at any given time. He would take charges in pickup games to win, and would not care. And he's one of those guys that would sit there and they would fight you to win. Coach Cal talks about how he hates to lose, how Cal hates to lose. That guy, DeAndre Liggins, is the definition of hate to lose.
Yep, I can totally see that, because he used to get up in guys. I used to love watching him play and get up in guys on the wings or guard the best player. I mean, he took that personal, and That's what you got to do. Him and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist both took it personal about this, getting up in guys, making it hard, making it frustrated for them to get buckets. So I guess moving on to Coach Cal, what was Cal like? I know a lot of people see Cal, for what he does, but what was your perspective on Coach Cal? You played for him. You got to know him pretty personal. What was it like playing for Coach Cal?
He demands a lot. He demands perfection. And if you can't give him perfection, he's going to try to get perfection out of you. He sees the game for what it is, and he wants it to be played with the respect that it deserves, which is perfect. And he's a huge competitor. I don't think of half the things that he does. I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the game, but he'll think of things that I don't understand, or didn't understand at that time. He gets the most out of his guys too. That's the main thing. He's going to get whatever you have to give. He's going to get it out of you. Now you may yell, scream, fight, puke, whatever. He's going to get it out of you.
I guess during this quarantine time, and you've been in the house, what are you watching on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime? Do you have any shows you and your wife are watching?
Well, I watched the 2014 what was it? The game against Michigan, where Marcus Lee goes crazy.
Yep.
And we watched that one, most of it. Couldn't watch all of it. I had to turn it off. So obviously I know what happens. I know Marcus is going to block some guy or dunk on some guy or whatever, and then stand over top of him and stare at him. I jumped out of my seat screaming just like I did then. But I mean, I get upset because Karis LeVert or Karis LeVert, whatever,
yeah.
LeVert, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
I'm watching it in a different way than I've ever seen it. And I see him just roaming free. And I'm like, who has this guy? It shouldn't be this close. What are we doing? Who's guarding him? But no, we watch a lot of The Office. That's our main show. It's kind of been that way. We'll Last Dance, watch that. We watched the Tiger King. So yeah, exactly. We'll watch like crime documentaries and stuff like that, but that's about it. Our main Netflix show is The Office, though.
John, I want to say thank you, man, for coming on and sharing some of your stories when you're playing at Kentucky, man. It's always good to catch up with you.
Problem.
You're always one of the fan favorites.
No problem. Anytime.